we've seen him play Rengar once, and it was pretty impressive. I believe that they still ended up losing that game, but smart to ban that away. Looks like we're gonna immediately follow that up with a Yasuo ban.
Okay,
No
and the Ziggs as
surprises
well.
there. New strategy from the Misfits. Don't give them comfort picks and just
Yeah.
taking everything away there. Here's the big thing though. We're at first pick. There is so much that is open. They're hovering over the
Yeah.
Alistair, but Urgot's open as well. Hecarim, even after those nerfs, haven't seen him played this patch, but could still potentially be an incredibly strong first pick. Every major jungler is available. Not a single jungle ban, unless, I mean, maybe Rengar. I don't know what Dardoch plays. The Legendary's champion pool is, like I said, pretty crazy. But they
Yeah.
are going to go with this first pick, Alistair. Already a solid engage option, a solid disengage option if they need it in the hands of Vermilion.
Yeah, well, we still have that trifecta of jungles on the board, like you mentioned. Rek'Sai, Gragas, Sejuani, all three of them still available. And I really want to see which side is going to start with the jungle picks and what route they're going to decide to go for. I feel like Rek'Sai could be a really powerful pickup here, maybe for the side of Misfits if Alberto wants to pick that one up. We need lots of knockups between that and the Alistar. Could give them some good crowd control. But we have seen Dardoch played in the past as well, so he might want to go ahead and snatch this one up. But as we can see, Legendary really taking their time with this pick phase, running down the clock, giving a lot of thought. And it's no surprise that they're giving a lot of thought. This is the last game, and this determines whether or not they go into the finals. Looks like we're actually going to see Rek'Sai picked up as well as Azir for the mid lane, so Bishu going to be taking in that one.
Bishu's Azir is something I'm incredibly excited to see. Rek'Sai picked up here, but as you mentioned, not, and we talked about, no jungle bans. So while Rek'Sai is incredibly powerful, and we've seen Dardoch perform amazingly well on this, I mean, Gragas is still available. Nunu is still available for Alberto. So while they have secured their personal pick, it's not the only jungler on the table, and it's not an insane advantage like it would be if the other two prominent junglers were banned away. So we'll have to see how this affects Misfits, what they decide to pick here. And interesting that they picked this Azir so early on. I'm not convinced entirely that this is not a flex pick. I don't know Acadian's champion pool. I'm not sure if
Yeah,
anybody entirely does, but there
it's
has been
massive.
Azir top. Yeah, there has been Azir top. And while I don't know if it would be the best picks, I wouldn't put it past I would not put it past Legendary to try to bait out a pick from Alex each early on to get something. But whatever the reason is, they have now given up two pretty powerful champions.
Yeah, so Sejuani coming in looking for that massive amount of lockdown with Glacial Prison. As we can see, Stixay this time going to be trying his hands with the Callista, somebody a bit more consistently played, somebody that we've seen in recent history and we know can perform. And of course, couple that with an Alistar. Fate's Call is a pretty powerful tool. Not only do you get the knock-up just off of throwing Alistar forward, but he's got that Pulverize to boot. So that's an immense amount of crowd control coming out of the bot lane here of Misfits so far. Unsurprisingly, though, Legendary, they're still toying around with picking up this Urgot Impactful, having such a strong game on it. Could bully out Callista early on that bot side.
Definitely a very powerful pick for Impactful. Wasn't too sure about it coming into this. And then we got in the game, and very quickly with that early double kill, we were it was proven to us how strong he can be. Now with the Nautilus locked in for Law Poly, we
Yeah.
have to be pretty impressed here. This is an absolutely lethal bot lane. Of course, on the opposite side, though, this is pretty much the two strongest bot lane picks going head to head right now. I do not think we'll see a 2v2 matchup. I imagine that we will once again see a lane swap, but I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, these teams relatively unpredictable. Callista Alistair, pretty solid lane matchup. I'm not sure if anything really beats Urgot Nautilus. It's just a lot of CC, a lot of pressure, and just the level 2 on both these sides is insane. Headbutt Pulverize versus the Rend. So hard to deal with, but staggering blow from Nautilus, the Dredge line, the Riptide, Titan's Wrath if he wants to go with the shield, and Urgot, that free corrosive charge into unlimited Acid Hunter spam. And both these teams are going to want to fight. They both have very powerful comps so far, but there's a little bit of a difference in focus. Right now, Stixay is still a large focus for this team as he is a very big damage output, is going to scale very well into the late game. Kassadin and Maokai getting locked in. But on the opposite side, a lot more focus on
Okay.
Bishu in the mid lane with this Azir pick, and that's going to scale insanely well into the late game.
Okay, looks like we might have a little bit of a mishap. Maybe one of these champions is not who they're supposed to be. Maokai is Gnar. Is how that one's going to go down. So, well, we got that one figured out. So we know that the Maokai is not going to be in the top side. So it will in fact be Gnar yet again, going in for RF. So not too surprising. But the Kassadin seems like it will be a legit pickup. So we will see Alex each playing that one. Which is going to be quite interesting here. We're going to get these guys settled and right back into the champ select so we can get this underway and get onto the rift. Should be just a second. There we go. Taking care. Taking care of that. So.
And it looks
burn
like
through these bands, blah, 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 blah.
Actually, same bands. They move out here. Obviously, the final pick still available for Lollapalooza. They can still counterpick for the top lane for Acadian, depending on what they want to do. But the final composition we're going to see unfold from Misfits here looks like it's going to be Maokai for Acadian in the top lane, by the way, as he instantly locks that one in. So
no,
it's
you
going
guys don't want that one. I'll take it.
Stixay and Ramelia going to get the Alistair, Callista bot lane. They may take it top. We'll have to see. Bishu is going to end up with that Azir in the mid lane. Unsurprisingly, we're going to have the Sejuani jungle, Alex each in the mid lane on that Kassadin. So, looking at this team, the big difference here from Misfits, their team fights are a lot easier to execute. Similarly, they have a 4-man team fighting unit. Alex each is just a bonus on top of this. He is the guy that gets to weave freely in and out of these team fights. He is not necessary to engage a good fight. He's good for follow-up damage. He needs to be there, but there's not a lot of pressure on him to make the plays himself. Everything is pretty much on Ramelia and Alberto to find those engages. Stixay with that Fate Call can go in, and I love this composition from RF, or from Misfits overall. They've talked about how Alberto and Ramelia are pretty solid players overall. Ramelia, pretty veteran in the challenger scene. Alberto and Alex each obviously true veterans. And so having a lot of engage focus on these guys is excellent, is absolutely excellent. And I like to see this comp unfold. On the opposite side, though, you gave Dardoch Rek'Sai, and this guy is a beast at these early game junglers, can consistently execute here. And I mean, we saw Impactful get a double kill in the first few minutes and snowball out of control. And once again, you're putting that in his hands. Now, Bishu doesn't have Ziggs. He has the same kind of late game scaling with this Azir pick, though. So, different comps slightly. Overall, very similar in what they want to do.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a really interesting game to see unfold. Like you said, Dardoch loving that early aggression. Likely going to be seeing him pay some pretty early visits over to Alex each. Try to shut down that Kassadin before he can get rolling. But, we're just going to have to see how this one's going to unfold when we get onto the Rift, which will happen in just a couple minutes. We're going to go to a quick little break while we wait for these guys to load up, and then we'll be back with this last game of the semifinals, and we'll find out who's going to move on to face Frank Fang Gaming in the finals tomorrow night. It's Misfits versus Legendary. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is going to be one hell of a game that you do not want to miss. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the AlphaDraft Challenger League. My name is Achilles. With me is Senpai, and we are on the Rift for our final game of the night. The final game of this best of three, tied between Misfits and Legendary, as both teams seek to move on to the finals tomorrow night versus Frank Fang Gaming. The loser here goes on to play a third, fourth place match. No one wants to be in that one. So everyone here going to be doing their best to net themselves a victory. On the blue side, of course, it is Misfits. RF on the top with the Nara yet again, and it's going to be, well, they're all not in order, so it's kind of throwing me off here. Alberto in the jungle with Sejuani in the mid lane. Alex each, of course, on Kassadin this time around, and then rounding out the bot side, it's Stixay and Remilia with a Callista Alistar combination.
And Legendary are in order, so this is going to be pretty easy. It's going to be Acadian in the top lane with that Maokai, Dardoch with that jungle Rek'Sai, Bishu mixing up those late game AP picks with that Azir. Of course, Impactful once again finding himself on that Urgot. Didn't expect that, I'll be honest. And Law Pally mixing up his aggressive picks now with a taste of the Nautilus. And kind of a passive early start here. Lane swap wards coming in on the side of Misfits, so looks like, as expected, they don't want to fight the 2v2 lane, because we talked about this. It's incredibly hard to beat out the Nautilus and the Urgot, and even more so if a Rek'Sai suddenly finds themselves in your lane. So, unsurprisingly, gonna try to force the lane swap here, but it looks like a pretty solid read coming in from the Legendary lineup. Now, if this is warded, this could turn against them, and there may be enough time to respond, but they are taking the safe route to lane, and it does not look like they're going to get spotted. They are, as that ping does come out, so they will know that they have the 2v2 lane, and now they're going to look to try to get the level 2 as quickly as possible, and then we'll have a decent experience advantage here on the top side. Still going to be a tough lane matchup, but the experience advantage will help mitigate that. Now, the big question is, where are these junglers going to go? So we're only about 2 minutes in. We'll have to see where these jungle paths take them. Rek'Sai poised to end up on the top side. May just end up invading the enemy jungle, not wanting to risk contesting with 4 members of the enemy team on that side of the map.
Yeah, and I'd honestly be very surprised if we don't see Alberto paying an early gank toward that top side to try to lock down Impactful. We can see, actually, they will go ahead and get that recall and swap right back down to the bot. They don't want to fight that one. So going to be avoiding Urgot at all costs. Should be pretty advantageous for Stixay and Remilia as long as they can keep away from him. You know, the more that Stixay is able to get ahead in CS, the harder he's going to be able to scale here with this Callista, who's going to do oh so well going into the late game. He's going to be able to hit those, you know, those power spikes a little bit sooner. Power spike's the wrong word, but he's going to be able to be dealing more damage sooner because Urgot's going to be much more reliant on getting that tier of the goddess to start from. So if they do end up clashing at some point, or even if it's just a regular skirmish against Stixay, he should be able to output more damage by comparison off the bat than Impactful here. So this split could be pretty advantageous for Misfits on the whole. But, you know, we saw Legendary. We saw them playing around Misfits. We saw Misfits make a decent amount of mistakes in the last game. So the question really comes down to, are Legendary going to be able to play as well as they did in the last game? And are Misfits going to play as poorly as they did at times in the last game?
It doesn't look like they've set themselves up for that quite yet. Alex each struggling a little bit against Bishu in this mid lane matchup. Bishu looking really confident here as he starts to trade. Null Sphere going to mitigate some damage. But the thing you wanted to talk about, you called it a difference in power spikes, and it's definitely there. Obviously, Callista and Urgot very different champions, but where Callista differs from regular AD carries is that she really only needs 2 items to be effective. Whether it's that Blade of the Rune King and that Runaan's, whatever path she wants to go, because so much of her damage comes from her Ren, she only really needs an attack speed source and a little bit of additional base damage. So going to do pretty well pretty early on, and we'll have to see how they capitalize that.
Oh, but look at all this attention being paid to Alex each in the mid lane. Goes ahead, pops out the flash, does not want to get caught in the knockup from that Rek'Sai. Several members actually of Legendary poking around. Turret does go down to the bot side. You can see RF actually teleporting up to the top. Going to stop that push coming in from Impactful. Tried to deny that one, but a major cooldown being blown out by Alex each. Good pressure coming out from Legendary already around this mid side.
I'm actually surprised that they left the Callista alone to take this tower. It looks like Acadian maybe a little slow down in this lane. Didn't want to take his chances there, but giving up that early tower, it may mean an easy lane to freeze, but it means a lot of free vision control and map pressure given over to the side of Misfits. So good on them to pick it up. We'll have to see exactly how Legendary decides to respond. Of course, Callista's still farming pretty comfortably on this bot side. Not too worried about the Rex side. She sends out the Sentinel there, and this is an interesting approach. I'm not sure what Legendary are doing here. I'm not sure what the execution they're going for is, but they have to be careful. They're gambling a lot by giving up so much so early.
Yeah, definitely. And we can see that gold lead starting to come out here for Misfits already. About 600. Obviously, nothing too significant quite just yet, but a lead all the same. And like you said, with Legendary, you give them an inch, they take a mile. Misfits operate exactly the same way. So they're going to be looking to take this and stretch this as much as they possibly can. You see, though, Dardoch hovering around that mid side. I believe he's actually sitting on top of a ward. Yes, he is. So Alex each completely aware of where he's at. RF, though, with that roam down to the bot side, getting some good damage in on the Bijou, forcing him to dash back underneath of this tower. Going to alleviate a lot of pressure here for Alex each, who has, been getting bullied out, here and there by this Azir, but all the same, keeping up in CS, getting himself a nice lead. So playing this lane quite well. Amelia going in on the top side, getting some good damage into Impactful. Look at all of that. The Ren hasn't even come through yet. Trying to finish him off. Just one more auto, perhaps, away from getting that kill. But Stixay off to a nice start here on the top side. Bilgewater Cutlass already completed for him. This is a pretty perfect start for this Kalista.
And Misfits are playing out of their minds right now. Alex, he's casually walking away.
Oh, that flash! They get the knock-up on the Impactful underneath the tower. The exhaust coming across as well, but can Stixay get the lock-up? The dredge line pulling him in as the tower comes through. Meanwhile, the dragon has been completed by Alberto down on the bot side of the map, so Misfits taking that one up. Stixay almost going down. Amelia with a very nice play going in underneath the tower, but Impactful, he has that heal, he has that Terror Capacitor shield, he keeps himself alive for the time being. So good aggression from Misfits, but almost paying for it on the back end of that.
Let's look at this. Stixay and Remelia take the bottom tower. Remelia Bromes provide pressure. They move up to the top lane. They almost take the top tower and the life of Urgot nonetheless. Meanwhile, Alberto and the rest of the team pick up that dragon for free. And Misfits playing out of their minds right now as far as map pressure goes, and Legendary are struggling to respond. Now, not a massive gold difference at this point. The 700, 600 present right about now, only really there because of that first tower. But Legendary has to figure out what they're doing here, because they haven't had a chance to respond to just about anything on the map. And quite frankly, if Loppally wasn't so on point today, Impactful would have gone down without a doubt.
Absolutely. And Loppally's just been playing out of his mind across the board. So really good with that dredge line to lock Stixay in, just completely negating any further aggression. So doing a good job. Meanwhile, as we can see, we just have these lanes swapping back and forth, back and forth. So RF and Acadian yet again going to be duking it out in that bot side of the map. And as we can see, RF at a significant disadvantage here, 27 CS to 42. Really trying to work his way back up and match numbers. Dardoch playing quite far forward. They might try to get some aggression here. RF, no vision whatsoever. If he plays forward to try to get that farm, he could go down. Dardoch really playing this patiently. Looks like he will go in. The Prey Seeker connects, but the Narj is going to go ahead and hop right away.
Just the casual hop to walk on out of that gank. And, I mean, well executed and good reaction speed there from RF Legendary. And really, you talk about the CS differential here, and this is mostly due to the fact that RF was moving to take that dragon, gave a lot of time to Acadian to free farm, and now Acadian with a decent advantage is just looking confident in this matchup overall and looks pretty comfortable trading with this Gnar. Though in the mid lane, we have to look at the difference here as 69 to 57 going to be the score. Alex each doing really well to farm against Bijou. RF Legendary, though, may try to find the engage.
Yeah, getting a really nice flash Gnar ultimate into the wall. Dardoch waiting in the wings, though, could turn this one right around. The Twist Advance comes through. That's going to be first blood. Look at that damage. Dardoch finding the kill. First blood comes through, but they're even in gold. And still a turret up in favor of Misfits, so still in a decent position for them. Still have that dragon under their belt, but good play by Dardoch. We were talking about him playing aggressively. Finally seeing that play come out. And that's going to be a very good start for him and his team.
And Dardoch's map pressure across all three of these games has been amazing. Right there, in the right place at the right time. Amazing map awareness. Saw the potential for RF to go in. Responded perfectly. Got the kill for the team. Turned that one around. Acadian surely would have gone down without that extra help. But now RF We've seen this from before. Sometimes he likes to play aggressive. Oh,
Oh,
another
wow,
gate!
that glacial prison on the Bishu. He throws out the Emperor's Divide, dashing toward Alberto, but he's going to go down. Alex each finding the kill will go ahead and use that Rift Walk to get right out. Dardoch not arriving in time to find a follow back kill. Really good collapse and synergy coming in here from Misfits, netting that kill onto the Azir. His Ignite went down as well. And they don't lose too much there off of that one as far as summoners go. So a nice pickup and a good start for Alex each to boot. Now up 21 CS and a kill.
Yeah, see if they decide to apply any pressure here. Alex each is going to have to go back. May not even be able to finish the Rod of Ages. We'll have to see what he can finish up here. Looks like he should have enough money to do so. And now they're just clearing out the vision. It's good. I like to see this from Legendary. They're taking the small advantages. They didn't get a whole ton from that. Just a summoner spell. Just a low health opponent, but Acadian going in.
Yeah, gets that Twisted Advance onto Stixay. I think he was trying to lock him down underneath of the tower, knowing that the minions were about to fall out. Wasn't quite in range to do that one. And to get that play in, he does get some good damage down onto Stixay. However, Bilgewater Cutlass not going to be doing too much to a Maokai who has that Catalyst Protector and a Ruby Crystal in his pocket.
Well, so, as I was saying, with the vision... And the thing is, this is the thing I like to see from Legendary. They're continuously leveling up every time we see them. I feel like when they find small advantages, like forcing Alex each to back, they utilize it. They pushed in for that deep vision. Now they have sight of this red buff, sight of the bottom side of the jungle, and the fact that they're always trying to utilize these advantages, no matter how small, is the kind of the sign that they could be a much better team than they are right now. And they're already a team contesting Misfits in a best of 3, which is not something a lot of teams can claim to.
Yeah, Alberto, though, going in onto low valley, trying to get the catcher. Amelia on the sidelines. Looks like they will just opt to clear out this pink ward. They don't have too much damage output, and that is a pretty tanky Nautilus all the same, so not going to be able to burn through him. Alberto taking a bit of damage from those Sand Soldiers over the wall, but should be quite all right. Second dragon of the game getting ready to spawn in just under 30 seconds now. Of course, Misfits going to want to grab that one up, net themselves their second. Dredge line barely missing onto Alex each. He's got Rift Walk though, so he'd be pretty safe at that, even if that did connect. So
kind of clever positioning overall. Just positions himself next to the wall, lets him know I can Rift Walk. If you come any closer, I'm just going to Rift Walk, and nothing's going to happen. And so they just, they back off, they respect it. And Alex each doesn't even have to burn the cooldown, gets to walk back to lane with functionally full mana, making trading with Bishu even easier. As you can see, the CS lead just continue to grow here. And this is the confidence we've seen from these mid laners who are comfortable on Kassadin. Alex each, Yasui in these matchups. RF, though, getting engaged on.
Yeah, getting engaged by Acadian. Not going to be able to find too much damage there. However, Low Pally gets locked up. The Glacial Prison comes through, and he gets absolutely devastated. Alberto finding that kill. Stixay able to pick up an assist there. Good start yet again to help spiral that Callista forward. Play of the Rune King has been completed. Meanwhile, RF in the top side getting bullied out by Acadian, throws out the chimney. But look at that damage output coming through from the Maokai. RF having such a rough time, still down 21 CS.
And, overall...
Oh, yeah, stunned into the wall, but he's going to go right back into that mini-Gnar form. Has those stacks, though, to get that bonus damage. Can he lay into Acadian here? Looks like he is. Throws out the sapling, trying to trade back some damage. But RF playing this one pretty intelligently for the time being. Really utilizing that. Brings him forward, tries to get him underneath the tower. Just 2 more hits would take him down. The sapling not going to connect. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Dardoch starting up the dragon will drag this one out. Here comes Alex each to the top, though. Acadian, you're in such a bad spot. Finishes him off. This will be the first dragon of the game going over to Legendary, however. Rather, their first dragon of the game, I should say. Second on the board, picking up here at the 14-minute mark. And now 4 people coming in. The depth charge goes on to Stixay as he flashes in underneath the turret. Remilia with a very nice headbutt. Fates call a drag her to safety. RF has teleported in. Does not get hit by that dredge line. It's 4 members of Legendary just kind of clustered around this bot side. The hyper-connected position reverser comes in, but RF just bounces right away. Bishu taking some damage on the backside of this one. It doesn't look like Legendary is going to be able to get anything off of this push. The wave is bunched up, but they should be able to clear this one out with the boomerangs and with those auto attacks from 6A. Maybe they have to peel off a worst case scenario, but for the most part, I don't think any deaths are going to come out from the side of Misfits. Tower will fall, however, so tying it up in that regard. Misfits still have themselves a decent lead of 1.6k gold.
responding with their own tower on the top lane, so mitigating that advantage completely. Of course, the big difference here is going to be that Legendary able to grab that dragon and tie it up for themselves. So now, even in the dragon, they sacrificed a kill as well as a tower, but they managed to trade it back. So a relatively even trade across the map, although now a 2k gold lead in the favor of Misfits, built almost entirely from the CS advantage present in that mid lane for AlphaDraft as we approach a 50 CS lead at the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, but look at two. Amelia gets a really nice knockup. That's going to be Glacial Prison onto Impactful. He takes so much damage, has to pop that Summoner heal. Now Alberto in a bad spot. The Twisted Advance. Acadian falling straight through, gets taken underneath the tower, but he's so tanky it doesn't even matter. Really nice pickup coming in for Legendary, taking out the jungler of Misfits underneath of the turret.
And this
also got a good amount of damage too, I should say.
This is an incredibly close game once again, and I thought after Misfits were kind of outmaneuvering on the map in the early game that it was going to be their game to take, that they were going to find a way to just kind of dominate this one. And they're taking it slow and steady, and they are building an advantage. We may see yet another fight here. They're eager to take down this turret.
Have to be careful. Stixxay taking a lot of damage. Actually ate 2 tower shots as well as a couple autos from those Sand Soldiers, so this will be the peel back. They're not going to be able to get any more pressure in onto this turret for the time being. Stixxay, though, doing a good job up in CS compared to Impactful at the current moment, each netting themselves an assist here. The Man Immune has been completed, however, so Impactful going to be scaling that much harder. Has the Brutalizer as well. We're going to have to see what Stixxay wants to go with next. Berserker Greave's going to be the pickup as well as Dagger, so just going to go ahead and net himself some attack speed. And now we can see pressure on this mid tower, not quite going to go down. The clear from Bishu proving to be just a little bit too fast for them to get that fatal damage in, but the pressure is still on this mid side by Misfits, trying to press any and every advantage that they have.
Misfits have a pretty substantial one at that. The Blade of the Rune King now finished for Callista. She'll be able to rip through just about anybody if left unattended. Of course, Urgot can do a pretty good job of shutting that carry down. Bishu, though, pretty far behind at this point. Only the Unholy Grail finished, so we'll give him not only the attack speed, but also the standard stats for that itemization. Kassadin, though, a lot of Aegis and the needlessly large rod. That's a lot of damage very early in the game. AlphaDraft looks like he could be hungry for blood as the team groups up around mid lane here.
Yeah, they do spot out Alex shooting with that Praise Seeker. Gets some decent damage onto Low Valley over the wall. Has to rift walk back underneath of the tower to try to avoid more. Alberto and RF come around the side. The Meganar is available. Can they finally engage? It doesn't look like it. Legendary playing quite far back. Good eye on them to have those wards out. Spot RF around the side. And just peel straight back and say, you know what, we don't want that fight. We'll wait for you to turn into that Mininar, and then we'll push straight back in and take out your turret.
And a good defensive play from them overall. They have their flanks warded. They want to use this Emperor's Divide to stop any aggression. They want to use it to disengage, to stop the fights that could happen on Misfits' turn. And to do that, they need to make sure the Misfits are all approaching from the same side. So they ward the flanks, they pull back when they see AlphaDraft and anyone else on the side. And they're doing an incredibly good job stopping any engages that are not in their favor. And so as a result, the gold lead that was once 2k now mitigated to about 1k. Their patient play paying off overall as both teams seem... We're building an ARAM right here as both teams just are determined to take this mid lane tower.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and get that too. So 3 towers now on the side of Misfits. Nice pickup for them. We're just going to stretch this gold lead ever so slightly. Still very insignificant at this point in the game, just up by about 2.1k gold almost. As we can see, not going to net them too much of an advantage here. Impactful, in the meantime, has been doing work, starting to get himself actually in the lead for CS. Still down about 300 gold, though, compared to Stixxay's Callista. So not quite as much in his pocket.
And this is just a little bit, you see the farm is even, you see the assists are even. This is the difference in towers manifesting here as we see Alberto barely making it out of that one. And it's just the gold being distributed slightly differently. Most of the gold for this legendary lineup is in that Maokai, who has the kill and the assist right now, is in that Rek'Sai. And they just haven't gotten the global objectives to balance that out quite yet. And they are going to take back this mid lane tower, though, just like last game, totally unexpected. This trading of blows as neither team can really find the appropriate engage, and I think in the case of Legendary, they're okay with that. They are the late game team. They have the Azir, and they're more than happy to wait.
So, you can't discredit the ability of Stixxay with this Callista, and of course the Kassadin, the Glacial Prison comes through, but it's not going to connect and get the slow onto Bishu though, as they try to stun him into the wall. Looks like Alex G's going in, will finish him off. Really nice execute on the backside, but Alberto in the front lines will get taken down by Cadian and Dardoch, but now the damage is coming through. Stixxay joining the fight. Dardoch will fall. It's a double kill going over to Alex Each. Low Pally gonna have to retreat out here with the Dredge Line. They throw Remelia forward with the Fates Call. They knock him back with a headbutt. It's a triple kill for Alex Each. Can he find a pentakill as they turn their sights onto Acadian underneath the turret? He has to flash away. Looks like he will get out alive. So unfortunately, no pentakill today for Alex Each. But my God, what a strong showing. We're talking about them trading back and forth, but I don't know if Legendary is going to be able to trade that one back. And that's going to spell the second dragon for Misfits. Third of the game going down at the 21-minute mark just about.
That's not really trading. That's pretty much robbery. They said, well, here, we can swap a little more. And they said, no, we're just going to take it, as they now take the second dragon. A couple more kills to add. And a lot of that, as we said, we want them to ward these flanks. Bishu and the Team Legendary need to back off. They need to make sure they stop this engage. And Bishu kind of split to the side. They got flanked by Crumbzz. They didn't expect it. And rather than backing out with the rest of his team, he has to sidestep that Glacial Prison. And while the Glacial Prison missed completely, it did its job as intended. It forced Bishu to the side. It forced him into an unsatisfying position. And as a result, has to blow the Emperor's Divide on the Gnar. And Alex Each says, well, I'll just the quick hop on over, hit you with the combo, hit you with the Ignite, and take you down in an instant. And it's only going to get easier as his itemization continues to outscale Bishu's so quickly.
Yeah. And that's you bring up a good point, though, going back real quick to the Emperor's Divide. He can throw that out all that he wants, but the main person that he has to be worried about in these fights is Alex Each, and he can just get completely right over it. Doesn't have to sacrifice the flash. Just can rift walk straight into the face of Bishu. And unless his Sand Soldiers are waiting for him on that side of the wall, he's going to get absolutely destroyed, as we saw. Alex Each now 5-0 on this casted, and he's up about 28 CS by comparison to Bishu's Azir, which is just not having a very good showing so far. He does have the scaling, for Azir in his kit, but at the same time, you're going up against a Kassadin who can scale just as hard. He's got that Null Sphere shield that can mitigate some damage. This is just such a tough matchup for Bishu at this point, not being able to get his foot in the door early on.
And this advantage that you're looking at right now, this is about 2.3k, that's Alex Each and Bishu. That's how far Alex Each is ahead of Bishu. Looking at the gold, Alex Each has a 2,000 gold advantage over his opposing mid laner right now and is absolutely dominating this matchup. Just unbelievable. And the rest of his team more than happy to follow up, more than happy to swap to a supportive role and just let him get these kills as they just funnel more and more onto him.
Yeah, and I think that even Stixxay is perfectly happy to funnel those kills on. Sure, he might appreciate a couple here and there for the Callista, but Alex Each, we know him to be such a hard carry player. If you give him all of the kills on the team, which he nearly has, only lacking one that Alberto's been able to pick up, if you give him all those, he's going to be able to make it work for the team, as we are seeing here. So very slight gold lead, but even so, Misfits in such heavy control of this game. Cannot discredit Legendary, cannot count them out. We saw how they played in that last game. One little misstep from Misfits can just net them a victory. We're going to have to see if that happens. You can see, trying to get that steal away. Oh, RF throws out the chimney, takes the blue buff.
Trade you a house for a blue buff.
Not even a whole house. Just part of it.
And that's just a chunk there.
What a crappy trade, man.
I think Misfits aren't very fair in the way that they trade right now. It's just a little imbalanced at this point in the game. Of course, I mean, good on him to pick that up. It's not going to hamper Bishu too much. Azir, not the most man-independent champion in the game compared to like a Kassadin, but it is going to hurt. The cooldown reduction would be nice, and of course the cooldown reduction would also boost that attack speed as well. So definitely powerful, but not the most crucial thing to drop. They're still going to be able to defend just fine and engage just fine. Just a minor loss of damage and a sustained damage output. Alex Each, though.
Yeah, maybe in a bad spot. Dardoch waiting around the wall. He will go ahead. He's got that Riftwalk to try to get him to safety, but they pop him in the air. The Righteous Glory has been popped. He goes straight into that Vengeful Maelstrom, has to flash out, so good play by them. They do go ahead and take away that flash, but cast that, and he's got built-in ones, so not necessarily the strongest pickup, but a pickup all the same.
Definitely a weird misstep there, but Misfits respond in kind. They get a little bit of vision back. They gain a little bit more control on the bottom side. You can now see Kalista exerting this vision dominance by pushing up this lane. And Maokai should be able to get this tower uncontested. They can use the Gnar TP to defend it if they want to, but our Legendary actually already on the way up. So maybe they won't drop this one quite yet. So actually really impressive map movement from Misfits. They're responding very well to the pressure put out on the map. And no major engages quite yet. Dragon, though, up at 1:30. And this is the catalyst where teams will want to fight. If Bishu wants to fight, where the enemies have to come from one side, Dragon Pit is the easiest place to do that for him. On the other side, though, it's also the easiest place to get caught out because Misfits know exactly where they will be, and they have the tools necessary if Legendary go for the Dragon to kill everybody who sets foot in that pit, especially if they group up.
Yeah, one massive glacial prison can just turn the tide of a fight instantly. We also know that Alberto is so good at getting steals off. So even if he just has to dash into the pit to try to get that one, he's perfectly capable of it. So likely going to see Legendary play quite cautiously when it comes down to this dragon spawning in 40 seconds. You can see not really any vision across the board for either of these teams quite just yet. Just a few wards being thrown out, but going to get cleared out as we speak. Scuttle Crab will be up for that spawn of the dragon, so should help Misfits maintain some pretty dominating vision control around that pit.
Still only about a 3k gold lead, so not a huge difference. It is an advantage, and it will come to play if they can find an appropriate execution. Interestingly here, we talked about Kalista needing 2 items to hit that spike. She has them. She got the Blade of the Rune King, the Rune Hands. Itemizing with the Quicksilver Sash. Wants to make sure that Maokai or anyone else isn't going to be able to lock her down for too long, and I like this approach. It means that Urgot pick so much less useful. It's not going to stop the Rek'Sai knockup. It's not going to stop the Emperor's Divide or anything else that's a knockup or a knockback, but it will mitigate a lot of the options on the side of Legendary and will make this Kalista pick a lot safer overall, which I think which is a solid choice. Oh,
RF already just throwing out the Mega Gnar, knew that he was going to lose it. They throw Amelia forward, gets a huge polarized Bishu coming into the fight, Stixing now in the eyes of Legendary. Looks like he will get taken down. RF finishing off Bishu in the meantime, though, in the backside. He has to bounce out of this one. Acadian playing so far forward, and now just in the thick of the fight, Alex Each doing what he can to lay down some damage. He has to pop the Zonias, but look at the health bars of Legendary. They're still so high. Alex Each out of the Zonias gets shot down. Is impactful, picks up a kill now. Vermelia gonna fall. Acadian finding that kill. It's a 3-for-1. Bishu, the only person falling, and that's gonna be 2 dragons now going over to Legendary, turning this game right around on its head.
There was no reason to go for that Gnar ultimate right there. He saw it. RF Legendary wanted it. He wanted the Wombo combo, but there was no follow-up damage there for this team. You see Dardoch pushing in here, securing his red. You got the Gnar ultimate, you got the Glacial Prison afterwards, that's not enough damage. Alex Each was not in position to get a rotation off, could not, and he is all of the team's damage. Remember we talked about, he is all of the team's gold advantage right now. They need him to do damage in these fights. The same thing is true of Stixay. Stixay not in a position to do damage as well. So while every tanky member got exactly what they wanted, they got the perfect engage, the part of the combo that's necessary, the damage necessary to pull this off, was not there. So it was so easy once all those cooldowns were down to just rip through this lineup on the side of Misfits. And while RF, good on him to make that decisive call to go for that, he needs to make sure his team is ready, and they clearly were not.
Yeah, even just Vermelia did get that follow-up pulverized, but it just wasn't enough, and they still weren't ready to really collapse in on that one, and they just got picked off one by one. And it's just going to get harder for them from there. We can see that the Muramana has been completed by Impactful. So this next fight coming in, this Urgon's going to be ripping off so much HP per hit. It's going to be absolutely devastating. So Misfits still with a slight lead. They have that tower up, here in the, on the map. But even so, it's looking like Legendary's teamfight might be enough to carry them to victory.
They've just performed much better at this point, at least in this game. Now you can see still a gold deficit. This is because Misfits have been the stronger team rotationally, but in these small skirmishes, it's taken is a single misstep here or there for Legendary to find their way back. But on the opposite side, I mean, Legendary has done the same thing. So these teams very evenly matched clearly, which is catching us all by surprise. And it's going to come down to who makes the next mistake, as both of these teams clearly adept at punishing them.
Yeah. And something I want to know, Acadian actually beating Bishu in CS. 209 to 207. What a play. He's been playing out of his mind on this Maokai so far. 3-1 and 3. 100% kill participation so far. Just doing such a good job on, a champion that is not necessarily his niche, not exactly what he likes to play. We saw him play the Yasuo in the last game. We know that he loves Rengar. He likes those high damage, assassination type champions. So Maokai, not necessarily something that fits in for him, but he's just been doing so well.
And it's definitely showing here, as you said, that 3-1-3 scoreline, the massive difference in farm, for about 42, 43 here. And RF Legendary will be able to recoup some of this, but I mean, this Maokai is strong. This Maokai is nearly unkillable. So much magic resistance, so much health, so much armor already in this game. AlphaDraft with no penetration to his name quite yet. Same thing with Kalista. So really no one on the team can effectively kill this Maokai in any reasonable period of time, which means that if Legendary finds a decent engage, that Maokai is going to do everything that they need it to do. Whereas RF Legendary, a lot more restrictions on him. He can go down to this Urgot, as Urgot has finished all these armor penetration items already.
Yeah. AlphaDraft's going to have to be a little bit careful here. Getting a little too greedy, trying to take down that pink ward. Going to have to peel back off this one. We can see Legendary with a very nice push down the mid lane. RF is in the top side. Losing that Meganar right now, has teleport available, but might need to show up to prevent this siege that's inevitably crashing in on this tier 2 tower. Looks like he may stick around for a little bit. Now he's going to go ahead and recall out the top side and rejoin his team, try to get that Meganar. Meanwhile, Acadian roaming up to the top to stop that push going in onto the tier 2 tower. A little bit of a breath of fresh air for both of these teams.
And we have a bit of a lull here. There's no real objective to fight for. Dragon spawning in 2 minutes. This isn't a Cloud9 game or a Frank Fang game, so neither team is going to try to force an early Baron. They're going to wait. We're at the 32-minute mark, and most likely this game will go long. It's either going to be a single burst in which one team gets a massive advantage and can break the inhibitor line, or it's going to be a slow and steady game, and a game about patience. So we'll have to see which team can execute here, which team can kind of perform better. And Misfits definitely have a decent amount of experience in long games, as do Legendary, though. And this is one of the first times that Misfits have really been tested, honestly, as they're very rarely defeated. They dropped a game already, and now they're even at 30 minutes in to a game 3.
Yeah, I feel like we really need to see Stixxay get this last Whisper quite soon. Actually, now that I say that, he goes ahead and completes it. RF in a bad spot, though, in the mid lane. Has to use the Meganar ultimate. Randowins gets spot by Dardoch to try to slow him in. Mininar coming back in. Remilia doing what she can to lock down the team and stop this aggression onto RF. He will be safe for the time being. Acadian, in the meantime, with the teleport coming in.
And this is Legendary trying to find that advantage we talked about. We may see yet another engage as AlphaDraft is on the backside, but they have to be careful. Both teams just going to back off. Strangely aggressive there to go in on Gnar when he's in that Mega Gnar form. He's just so tanky, and you don't really have a whole lot of damage for follow-up. But not giving up too much for it. They will drop the TP cooldown, but they will get the flash in response. So if they can find a fight here, which they might, we'll have to see. It could turn against them in an instant. Everything hanging.
This could potentially be a good time for them to fight. RF is in the Mega Gnar form, but they don't have the Hyperkinetic position reverser, and they don't have that depth charge from Low Pally. This could be a window of opportunity for them, but it doesn't look like they're willing to bite down on this one. Instead, going to rotate over to the mid side, try to get some damage in on this tier 2 Bishu. Not joining in. Remilia gets a huge knock-up, and the fight is broken out. Acadian on the backside trying to lock down Stixxay. The Empress of Fight has come out. Now Low Pally on the retreat. Meanwhile, AlphaDraft in the thick of things. The shutdown going over to Acadian. Zonia's pop. It's going to be a double kill for Stixxay so far. AlphaDraft leaping into the back, just trying to rip through the members. Now he's going onto Impactful, who's just trying to cut back as fast as he can. Meanwhile, Alberto going over onto Dardoch, who's just on the run. RF trying to get that lockdown, not going to be able to find it. Looks like it will be Impactful, and Dardoch getting out with their lives, but Misfits finally finding the fight that they need. and that should open them up to take down, this mid inhibitor turret, if not the inhibitor itself. Really good turnaround from these guys.
And I love the way Misfits executed that team fight. They saw them move into the choke. They got the combo. They laid down those ultimates. Immediately, Stixxay starts putting down that sustained damage. Make sure that these frontline tanks are threatened, that they can't just do what they want. And here's the big thing. Every single member of the Legendary lineup has to turn around to stop Alex Each from killing Bishu, and in that instant, Stixxay gets to run free, rips through so many members, 2-1-4 now, making sure him and the rest of the team can just rip through these guys, grab an inhibitor, grab a third dragon, and dominate that fight. I said we were going to see a team either dominate or we're going to see a long game, and it looks like right now Misfits are poised to dominate.
Solid pickups across the board here, but they want blood here. Legendary on the backside. Depth Charge goes on to Stixxay, who is quite at a safe distance now. Alex Each going to have to be on the retreat. Depth Charge just pulls Stixxay in. Acadian going in. Look at all of the damage. Bishu will melt through him. Amelia is going to fall as well now. Alex Each has to pop the Zonias yet again, trying to finish off Bishu. He will get it with the Ignite, but he falls as well. It's just a 3-for-1. Legendary come right back in. They fire back, and they take down 3 members of Misfits. RF not able to do anything. Alberto not able to do anything. This is going to be Legendary, likely going straight for the Baron.
Living up to their name as they turn it around once again. You couldn't have said it. Trading blows. I've never seen teams go head-to-head like this. Be confident enough to force engages like that after such a large loss. They don't care about the gold lead. They're not worried. But now they're taking Baron. It looks like they're pretty determined to take it. They have to be careful. Crumbzz has stolen one, and this time they don't have a massive gold lead to buffer that out. They need to be careful.
Yeah, we saw him steal one in the last game. Can he have a repeat performance? This will be absolutely massive. If he can get it, it will go over onto every single member. RF going in. Can he get the smite steal? He takes it away yet again. Alberto, the god, with the smite steal, takes out the Baron for Misfits as they get their second steal in a row. Amelia rejoining the fight. RF doing what he can to slow people out with the boomerangs. And now here comes Stixxay throwing in the spears, trying to find a kill onto Impactful. But Bishu has come back as well. Dardoch will finish off RF, and the fight just keeps going. Alex Each now joining the fray, finding that kill onto Bishu. The pop-up from the depth charge coming through. Looks like that will be Misfits coming out wildly on top, though, because of the steal. Alberto, my god, he does it again.
And we've been praising Dardoch for his constant pressure, constantly being where he needs to be. But Crumbzz was in the Baron pit, and he smited better when it mattered, and absolutely kept Misfits in this game. The rest of Misfits capitalizing on that opportunity, going in, picking up a couple of extra kills. Now, with a 6k gold lead just about, and a Baron buff, allowing them to push down these lanes. Beautiful execution by Crumbzz. Clearly not enough respect paid to that. An excellent stun by RF Legendary to make sure no one could keep him out of the pit. And then the smite follow-up was there. It was necessary. And Misfits, I mean, you saw Bishu come into the fight so confident. And then Alex Each just shows up. He has Bishu's number. He does so much damage now. He just gets to ult over that Emperor's Divide. Immediately, Null Sphere, Force Pulse, Auto Attack, dead. Bishu dropped in a single rotation. And that is absolutely terrifying for Legendary.
Wow, what a play. I can't give Alberto enough credit for that one. Just not faltering in the face of all of those enemies. Goes straight over fearlessly into the pit. Steals that one out for the second time in a row. Coming up huge here in these games and just solidifying yet another, albeit potentially temporary, lead for his team. That was just a massive pickup, and that just really enabled for Alex Each and Stixxay to rejoin the fight and try to get some kills off the backside of that one. What a good play. And that's also Dardoch. Just, he was the one faltering, actually, just panicking. In that situation, you have one job. You know that Alberto is over the side of the wall. You know that he is able to get the steal away. Yet you falter on the smite. You have to be focused in that regard. So Dardoch just coming up short in that one, and Alberto taking complete control over it. As we can see, Misfits sweeping through, taking complete control over this game, using the Baron-empowered minions to push in, get that tier 2 tower in the bot side, and just stretching this lead that they've established for themselves even more.
And they should be able to take the tier 2 top tower as well with this Baron buff. Just further trying to stretch that gold advantage. About a 7k gold lead. Will be about 8k by the time they take down this top tier turret. Potentially looking for a pick yet again as Alberto moves in there to clear out the Rek'Sai tunnels. So here's the thing about where Misfits are at right now is it's going to be hard for them to break another inhibitor because despite the massive advantage that they have, Bishu is a monster in these base kind of fights. The Emperor's Divide is still incredibly important. And when he has a Nautilus on top of him or a Maokai on top of him, even Alex Each won't be able to deal damage effectively. So if he's ever left alone, Alex Each instantly picks up that kill effortlessly, no questions. But Legendary are smarter than this. They're not going to leave Bishu alone, and that's going to mean a much longer game for Misfits, as they may struggle to break this line.
Yeah, sieging here against this composition could be quite tough. And they also just can't step too far forward because of that hyperkinetic position reverser. Impactful. We've seen in the past, he's not afraid to use that and place himself in the thick of the fight. So that could be potentially a game-changing tool when it comes down to the siege game that Misfits are going to be throwing out. Next dragon of the game spawning in 25 seconds, however. So Alex he needs to try to get this back so he can spend his money. But maybe just going to go ahead and stick around here. We can see now dragon spawning in 15. This will be 4th of the game for Misfits if they're able to secure it. 3rd of the game to tie up. If Legendary can get that 5% move speed buff, might be quite good for them. But mostly they need to prevent Misfits from getting one step closer to getting that aspect of the dragon buff.
Definitely 4th dragon buff. Also crucial for helping take down that Baron, as well as clearing out the enemy jungle rather quickly. You can see how oppressive this vision control is from the side of Misfits. They can see everything and everyone on this map right now, so it's no effort at all for them to take down this Baron. And similarly, if they can find a fight on their terms, it's easy for them to win it at this point in the game. Obviously, we've seen Legendary turn around fight after fight, but I mean, this Kassadin pick has only gotten stronger. This Callista pick has only gotten stronger, and if they misstep, a Fate's Call, a Glacial Prison, a Gnar from RF, that's all it takes to turn this game.
Yeah, absolutely, and we saw that in the last game. We've seen that, time and time again in this game. Low Valley trying to go in here, gets the depth charge over on a Stixxay, but a beautiful Glacial Prison will not lock up 3 members. That's going to be the hyperkinetic position reverser. RF getting locked up nowhere near that Mega Gnar form. They should be able to burn through. Now Tactical has to flash out on the backside, being taken quite low as Alberto trying to get onto him. Looks like he will go down. Stixxay finding that kill now. Bishu in the eyes of Misfits as he flashes out of the fight, and this is just Misfits coming in and cleaning house. Alex Each pops Sazonia's Dardoch, goes down. It's a double kill for Stixxay as they chase over onto Bishu. Looks like he will go down. Can he get the triple kill? He will, in fact. And this should open up the game for Misfits, maybe to close out here. 50 seconds on Dardoch, 55 on Bishu. Inhibitor going down. Misfits swinging that fight, coming up huge.
We'll have to see if they can actually end the game here. They have 2 very tanky members as well as a very strong AD carry as they push in here. And honestly, a little bit of a fumble on the ultimates, but because Legendary also kind of struggled there. Alex Each, just the man we have to watch, jumps into the backline, threatens Bishu. Every member of Legendary has to back off, has to protect him. Meanwhile, Stixxay, just like before, gets to rip through him, gets to do what he wants.
They're going to go for the end here as they engage onto a Katie and they lock him down to the Glacial Prison. They bounce him around like a ping pong ball. He goes down. Alex Each finding that last kill of the game, but it will be Misfits taking down the Nexus towers, taking down the Nexus, and moving on into the finals to face off against Frank Fang Gaming tomorrow night.
And impressive